Everyone knows who Johnny Depp became, but almost no one knows what he survived to get there. This is not a Hollywood story. This is the kind of American story your grandfather would have told in a dim kitchen at midnight. About a boy who crawled out of a broken home, punched through every failure put in his way, and still almost lost everything to the people who claimed to love him. Listen, stop scrolling, put the kettle down, sit back, and give me 13 minutes of your life. This is Johnny Depp, the boy from a house with a thin roof, the man who built oceans of madness and music around himself, and the slow, brutal unmaking that read like a public crucifixion. You will not skip this. You will feel it. Because this is not gossip. It's a story about how love, money, and fame rip a human being into pieces, and what it takes to try to glue him back together. Imagine a small kitchen in Owensboro, Kentucky. Cigarette smoke hangs in the air. A woman counts coins under a tired light. An engineer father comes home silent with oil under his nails. That's the first scene. Johnny Depp learned early, the world is a house that can fall apart overnight. He learned to carry his life like a guitar case, battered, essential, always ready to be taken on the road. At 12, his mother put that battered guitar into his hands. It was survival disguised as kindness. He taught himself to play the world into something softer. At 16, he left with $35 and the kind of stubbornness that eats comfortable advice for breakfast. He slept in cars, played bars for $2 and a smile. In Florida, he learned humiliation. In LA, he learned rejection. But fate has crooked hands. An introduction to Nicolas Cage. A whisper, try acting. And suddenly, the kid who wanted only to play music had a different kind of stage. Fast forward, the 80s gave him poster boy fame on 21 Jump Street. Teen girls plastered his face on bedroom walls. He became an idol. But idols are glass. They reflect what people want to buy. Johnny hated being a product. He wanted to be an artist. Tim Burton gave him that mercy. Edward Scissorhands, a role that didn't just fit him, it excavated him. The lonely, gentle man who could wound with blades on his hands mirrored the loneliness Johnny had never escaped. He wasn't acting. He was telling his childhood to an audience that suddenly listened. Then, Jack Sparrow happened. Captain Jack was reckless, drunk with charm, with a swagger that made Disney executives panic in the boardroom. Is he mocking us? They asked. He was inventing something alive. Pirates of the Caribbean made him a titan. It also chained him. Overnight, he earned millions, wore gold teeth, and sat on yachts where silence grew louder than any applause. Success is a currency that asks for interest in loneliness. He paid in spades. Here's where the air changes. By the time the 2010s roll in, Johnny has mansions across continents, a yacht named Valiroa, a French chateau, a private island even. The headlines call him royalty. The ledgers show a different story. Trust is expensive when misplaced. His management company, TMG, alleged mismanagement. Lawsuits followed. Homes were sold. Assets auctioned, like trophies from a life that had forgotten why it collected things. Storyline: money evaporates because he trusted people who smiled in fountains of his fortune. But the scalding center of this tale is love. Messy, dangerous, unapologetic. He loved loudly, and that love burned. Winona Ryder was the first wildfire that became public heartbreak. Winona Forever, tattooed on his arm. Later changed to Wino Forever, a boy's sorrow turned into a joke the tabloids swallowed. Kate Moss, barefoot in hotel corridors, a burst of 90s glamour. Vanessa Paradis, the quiet miracle. 14 years of what most of Hollywood never sees. Privacy. Children. A home that sounded like Sunday morning instead of paparazzi cameras. Lily Rose and Jack. His compass. His anchor. And then Amber Heard. Their marriage read like a contract drafted in flame. What began as a storm turned into the kind of public theater the modern world devours. Tension, accusation. A Washington Post op-ed from Heard that didn't name him, but detonated anyway. He sued for defamation. She fought back in courts across continents. For 6 years, the world watched, not to learn, but to be entertained. Studios peeled away roles. Johnny's name left franchises. His empire dwindled. The trial in Fairfax, Virginia, in 2022, gave him a legal win. The jury largely sided with Depp, awarding damages. Paper victory. Public cost? Irreversible. Do not mistake the verdict for salvation. A win on paper doesn't sow the shredded years. It doesn't erase the nights of silence, the lost roles. The friends who left, he painted portraits of Dylan, Ledger, Elizabeth Taylor, and they sold for millions. He played stages with Jeff Beck and the Hollywood Vampires, not for box office numbers, but for breath itself. He donated quietly, no press release, to children's hospitals. He dressed as Captain Jack and surprised sick kids. That is not redemption theater. That is a man trying to keep pieces of himself intact. You want the scandal? It's here. Names, dates, lawsuits. Explaining the smoke is easy. People love to smell it. But the real ache of this story is human and small. A father who will never get back the private years he lost while defending himself publicly. An artist who learned the cost of fame by being stripped of the things that made him human. The pirate's compass, the prop that pointed him toward love, became a symbol of how everything that points you to truth can also point to ruin. Look at the scars and count the lessons. Don't put every trust in the hands of those who profit from you. Don't let wealth build walls high enough to hide the sound of your kids laughing. Fame will give you everything and then demand your soul in return. But notice this. The man who looked like he'd broken forever found ways to make beauty from the ruin. Painting, music, quiet philanthropy. A Somerset estate where the morning is vinyl and coffee, and a man learning to live with the rain. Here's the part people forget. Johnny Depp is still human. Not a myth, not a martyr. Flawed and luminous, reckless and generous. He loved like someone trying to heal a childhood without a roof. He trusted, he lost, he punished himself with excess, and then he tried to recover with art. His net worth today, not the $650 million headlines once claimed, but a recovered fortune that speaks to resilience more than excess. He owns fewer yachts, yes, but he owns songs, paintings, and mornings where his children can be children. So don't skip this. Remember the boy who left with $35 and a guitar. Remember the man who built empires of art from the ashes of tabloid fires. Remember the father who calls his children his compass. And remember this. Salvation for Johnny Depp didn't come from courtrooms or hashtags. It came from the stubborn work of creation, painting, playing, and giving back while the world watched or turned away. If you walk away with one hard lesson, let it be this. Light and shadow are not opposites in a life. They are partners. The same hands that craft beauty can also make a mess. The only way through is to keep making, keep playing, keep painting, keep loving, mess and all. Now go make your tea. Sit with it. Think of the man whose life taught you the cost of being worshipped and the quieter price of being human. You can disagree with him, you can vilify him, or you can do what he did in the darkest hours. Live, create, and try again. That's Johnny Depp. Scandal fell around him like winter. He learned to stand in the snow and play a song no one could ignore.